They say rejection is one of the deepest wounds a soul can carry. But what happens when the boy no one wanted becomes the man a whole nation couldn't stop loving? This is the story of Malik, a baby left alone at a train station in Casablanca, wrapped in a threadbare blanket. No name, no note, just a small red birthmark on his left wrist. They called him Malik. It means king? It was a cruel irony. He had no kingdom, no throne, only questions no one could answer. The station master found him just after midnight. A light drizzle was falling. The last train had left. He saw a bundle beneath the rusted bench and thought it was trash. Then it moved. The authorities took him. The social services wrote up a report. Infant male, no known parents, approximately 6 months old. Just another file in the growing stack of abandoned children. Malik's early years were a carousel of cribs and cold rooms. The orphanage fed him, dressed him, but love was rationed. He watched other kids get adopted. Couples would come in, looking for babies that smiled easily, that reached out when held. Malik never reached. He had learned not to hope. By the time he turned 12, he had been in 10 foster homes. Each time he unpacked, he did so lightly. He knew he wouldn't stay long. One foster parent accused him of stealing coins. Another said he was too quiet. A third simply left without notice, leaving him at a shelter with a handwritten note. He doesn't connect. He stopped talking much after that. At 16, he was working odd jobs at a street-side mechanic shop. He lived in the back room, a mattress on the floor, no window, one bowl for food. That's when he met Sophia. She was 17, a medical student volunteering with a youth outreach group. Sharp-tongued, always carried a camera and a notebook. Most boys flirted. Malik didn't even look up when she spoke. But Sophia noticed something. He never smiled, never asked for more food, but he always returned the books she lent him, clean, corners unbent. One evening, she handed him a pen and said, "If you won't talk, maybe write." He didn't reply, but later that night, something in him cracked open. He scribbled for hours, words he didn't know he knew, thoughts he never dared say aloud. The next day, he slid the folded paper to her silently. She read it, tears filling her eyes. "You're not invisible, Malik, not to me." From then on, she visited twice a week. She brought him old notebooks, asked him to write his pain, his dreams, his questions. He wrote about the station bench, about the ache of not being missed, about how the silence inside him felt louder than screams. Sophia encouraged him to enter a local youth poetry competition. He didn't believe he had a chance. He barely believed his words mattered. But he entered anyway. He didn't win, but something better happened. A judge, a retired journalist named Amir, reached out after reading his poem. "You write like someone trying to survive." Amir offered to mentor him, taught him about structure, voice, timing, encouraged him to read everything from Gibran to Neruda. For the first time, Malik saw writing just as therapy, but as power. At 19, Malik had 2 poems published in national journals. By 21, he was performing at youth festivals, university halls, even prisons. He spoke for those who didn't have words, for the boys with bruised arms and hollow eyes, for the girls raising themselves on rooftops. He stood tall, his voice steady, his eyes fierce. Then came the video. A friend recorded him performing a piece called "The Bench Where They Left Me." It went viral. 4 million views in 5 days. People reposted it, cried to it, stitched it into their own stories. Suddenly, Malik was everywhere. News outlets reached out. Interviewers asked, "How does a boy with no family become the voice of a generation?" He answered simply, "I speak because silence almost killed me." 3 years later, Malik was invited to speak at the National Youth Congress in Rabat. He wore a plain white shirt, no tie. He stood before ministers, journalists, and thousands watching online. And he told the truth. He spoke about being left behind, about sleeping in foster homes that smelled of bleach and loneliness, about writing poems under flickering bulbs. He didn't name his parents. He didn't have to. He ended with a line that sent a ripple through the country. "I was unwanted by 2, but needed by millions." The clip was shared across Morocco, then across North Africa, then the world. Children wrote him letters. Mothers wept watching him. Fathers posted his video with trembling captions. 2 weeks later, he received an anonymous message in broken French. "I think I am your mother." He froze. For hours, he stared at the screen. He had imagined this moment. He had rehearsed anger. He had dreamed of turning his back. But now that it was here, he wasn't angry. He was tired. They agreed to meet in Tangier. She arrived first. Gray scarf, nervous hands. She looked nothing like his memory because he had none. She gave him a letter, didn't try to touch him, just placed the envelope on the bench between them. Then she sat quietly. He opened it slowly. "My son, if I had known what you'd become, I would have fought harder to keep you. But I was 17. Your father had left. My family threatened to disown me. I was ashamed and I was afraid. Leaving you was not an act of hate. It was a collapse, a failure of courage. But I have watched you all these years, in silence, in shame. I do not expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know. You were never unloved, only lost to someone who didn't know how to be found." He folded the letter. Tears blurred his eyes, but he didn't let them fall. He looked at her. She looked like a woman still trapped in that 17-year-old girl's fear. He nodded, not in forgiveness, but in understanding. Then he stood and walked away. Today, Malik runs the Bench Foundation, named after the very place he was left. Its mission: no child should feel invisible. They provide shelter, therapy, education, and, most importantly, community. He's helped reunite families. He's built reading rooms in remote towns. He funds scholarships for children in the foster system. And every year, on the anniversary of his abandonment, he speaks to a new group of kids. He tells them, "You are not your pain. You are not your parents' fear. You are your own beginning." Last year, Malik was awarded Morocco's National Humanitarian Medal. The entire audience stood as he walked to the podium. He didn't speak for long, just a few words. "Thank you for seeing me, even when I didn't know how to be seen." He left the stage to thunderous applause. But backstage, he met someone quietly waiting in the shadows, his mother. This time, he hugged her. No cameras, no interviews, just a moment between the woman who let go and the man who chose to heal. Malik was once a boy left on a bench in the rain. Today, he is a voice, a light, a builder of hope. He was abandoned by his parents, but he was loved deeply, fully, loudly by a nation that found him, and in finding him, found a piece of itself.